Greetings and welcome to the ECG Podcast, a show where some East Coast buddies who have never met in person gather around once a week to remotely discuss our love of video games and other shared interests. I'm one of your hosts, Chris Waterman, joining you from Jacksonville, Florida. And tonight I've got with me Mr. Zach Cassell from Boston, Massachusetts.
Why, hello there.
Robbie Bobby Miller from Baltimore, Maryland. What's up, Bobby?
Hey.
And we have, last but not least, from the tip of America's dick, Mr. George Ravelo from Miami, Florida.
What up?
Yeah, we're back on the video podcast. Pretty smooth last time, so I'm gonna knock on wood that it continues to be smooth. We had a mega-sized episode, so we took a week off, and we are back to talk about some video game news. On today's show, we're going to be covering Cyberpunk's apology and subsequent article from Bloomberg, Jason Schreier reporting on the development history of that game, shedding a little bit more light on why it ended up the way it did. We're going to be talking about some huge news around Lucasfilm Games, including a new Star Wars property and an Indiana Jones game by Machine Games. And then we are going to just do a little catch up on what we've been watching while we're continuing our COVID-19 2021 life. So let's dive right into Cyberpunk news. Just to quickly recap, and I'll open up the forum for discussion. So I think it was like literally 8 or 9 hours before the article from Bloomberg went up. We had an apology video from CD Projekt Red, specifically one of the founders. Basically, I would say for 3/4 of the video owning up to the state of the game and putting the blame on the more the business side, and then it kind of takes a nosedive, and we get a little bit of blame tossed on the QA side, which we'll talk about in a second, but I thought it was complete bullshit. And then, hours later, Jason Schreier from Bloomberg releases an article that outlines basically the production history and why it ended up the way it did, citing really that full production didn't begin until 2016, the fact that they switched from third to first person, and of course, some pretty strong pushback from staff who didn't believe the game was going to be ready until 2022, among other things. So with all that being said, let's jump in. I'll open it up to you guys. Have at it. What did you think of that 24-hour news cycle when all that stuff kind of came out? What'd you make of the apology video, and what'd you make of the article, I guess?
Bullshit. Look, I think that I don't know, man. Like I like that company a lot. I love their history, their games. They had such a good reputation, and I think that good reputation obviously has been soured, but I think like people are still like holding on to that, and it feels like in some ways giving them, like, I don't know, more avenues for defense, giving them a pass in some areas because of their history. And it's just like, look, they're apologizing because they had to. That article was coming out the next day. I mean, it's like, it's not even up for debate whether you thought that this game was in good shape, whether it was ready. Like, there's no debating this. This game was arguably one of the worst launches for a game of this magnitude, of this much hype. So yeah, you had to apologize. Didn't have a choice but to apologize. I took issue with some of the excuses that they made, because if there was one time when you have zero room to make excuses, it's for the condition or the state that you released the old gen consoles in. Like, there's zero excuse for that. Like, just admit what you did wrong, or if you don't want to admit your reasons behind it, just apologize and that's it. But to sit here and tell me that the issues that we saw, that you guys experienced on the old gen consoles, were not shown in our play testing, it's fucking preposterous. Like, did you turn it on? Did you insert the game and try to turn it on? The game, you could not play the game. Like, you could not get through a minute of the game at all if you were on the old gen console for those first few days. So I don't know what kind of play testing that you do as the head of the company. I mean, at some point, somebody in the company should like take an Xbox or a PS4 and like power it on and try to play a couple hours of the game. Like if the game crashed in the middle of it, okay, whatever. Like it took there's some game breaking bugs in there, all right, but the game literally was not playable on more. I mean, if you take the PC out of it, on more than half of the consoles available, like the game is not playable. Like that's so unacceptable. It's the reason you're being sued by your own investors. um I thought the excuse that they used for that is just it's a lie. It has to be a lie. You had to know that you were doing that. I don't know. It's either a bold faced lie, or there's some gross, like, unheralded, like, incompetence associated with how that just snuck by you without you noticing. I don't know. That's crazy to me. That's the real only issue that I have with Cyberpunk. I mean, the game is playable enough on next gen and PC, even though it has a lot of bugs, but you can get through the game and enjoy the experience. But that shit on the old gen consoles, and then almost like blaming the consoles, like, oh, unfortunately the consoles just didn't have the capacity to handle the game. Like, you set out to make a game for that console. That's your responsibility. Like, don't pin it on the console's shortcomings. You've been working on this game for what, 8 years? Like, give me a fucking break.
It it's just a shame because it starts off so well, the
Yeah.
apology, like, where I'm like, oh, all right, cool, you know what, like, good for you, like, just taking ownership, like, you're making a public statement, you're saying all the right stuff. Y- y- they didn't, explicitly say we got greedy, but they basically were kind of implying that,
Over ambitious, overly
yeah,
ambitious.
yeah. And then to kind of sour it all by then turning around and making excuses. Like, you have an excuse for your apology for 3 quarters, and then, like, for the excuses to come rolling in, it's like you should have stopped at that point where you just said, "Hey, we're not going to give up on it. We know we fucked up. We're going to make it better." Like, just stop there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I think people know what happened, right? And then for you to kind of turn around and say that it was a surprise, where like you said, there's no way, like, if you actually had playtesters playing it, there's no way you could not know, like, that the game was in a state where it wasn't ready, and it wasn't going to be ready. I think he had mentioned something about, we hope that the day one patch was going to fix those issues. Like, you guys are professionals, like, come on.
Yeah.
Like, like, somebody in that company said there's no way, like, there's no way, like, don't do it. And probably multiple people from, the article, which we'll get to in a second, it seemed like we're all on board.
Or you didn't test it, or you said, just say we didn't test it. We were so confident that we fixed it, we didn't even bother, which would be the incompetence defense, right? Like, it's either
or under the
you didn't.
knife, we didn't
Yeah,
have
like,
time, like, the patch was coming in hot, we hoped, and we
yeah,
failed, like.
we either didn't test it, or we knew it was coming out like this. But it can't be we did test it and we never saw it. Like, that's just there's just no way. There's just no way.
So Zach and Bobby, like, we'll stick with the apology video for now, and then we'll get to the article. Like, give me just your thoughts, like, if you watched it or read a summary, like, what did you make of everything?
Take it away, Bobby.
I wasn't a fan, and I don't like that other developers are now putting their 2 cents in now. Like Gabe Newell from Valve, like, now he's defending Cyberpunk when it just seems it's way too late. And even Gabe was mad about PlayStation pulling it when you couldn't even play it on PlayStation, and it was corrupting. But I do remember, didn't Control do the same thing, where Control was like bricking PS4s? If I do recall, but Control was never taken off the store.
Dude,
But wasn't it
Control
where
was never
Control?
unplayable, man. It was
What's
never
that?
unplayable. I don't think Control ever was unplayable. Like,
Well, I thought it was like they were telling you not to install it because it was bricking PlayStation. It was Greg Miller, I believe, was the first one to post it, where it's like it just kept getting blank screen and his stuff wouldn't restart until he redid his hard drive.
I don't
But
know.
it wasn't even that bad. But they still didn't take Control off. I think Sony went too far with that. But I don't like developers coming to protect Project Red when it seems like the from the top down there's been problems. Yeah, the crunch, and then it seemed like the lower level people didn't want to crunch because they knew it was shit. For some parts of it, I'm not gonna say the whole thing because I've seen people play it, Steam, everything. It looks good. Not Steam, Stadia, where it looks good. But I for last gen, I hate when people keep calling it next gen when it's still Xbox One, PS4. But that wasn't ready and probably should have never even happened. But it seems like that's the strategy that everybody's going for now. It's still
Yeah.
coming out on PS4 and the next gen. But if it wasn't ready, it wasn't ready. I don't blame investors for suing. I don't blame people for getting mad. I was surprised that it is the way it is, but the apology to me just
Dude.
seemed like a slap in the face, to be honest.
Bobby brings up a hell of a good point that I didn't think about. But could you imagine, like, this game was supposed to come out before next gen, right? Could you imagine if this game came out in this shape in March or in the spring when it was supposed to, or in September, and all of us had bought it on the old gen? Could you imagine? And it
No.
was unplayable. Holy shit! So
No.
that's such a cop out, man.
Yeah, I think it would have been infinitely. I mean, it's a pretty bad situation, but I think it would have been infinitely worse had that happened. I think they weren't going to be that pushy. Yeah, I'm fine with people defending like developers to the point of like saying like, hey, like don't harass them, like people that didn't have any choice, like they weren't part of the decision making process. Like it's fine to defend those people. I think like they've got a lot of shit. Like they don't have anything to do with what's going on. It's not even really a testament to their work quality or anything, because it seems like, again, we'll get to it in a second. Like there was plenty of vocal discussions about like the game not being ready to launch. So yeah. How about you, Zach?
Yeah, I mean, like you guys were saying, the apology video was at least, I guess, would have been more well received had the QA section not have been a part of it. But yeah, I don't know. I took it more as like, we have to do this than we're actually sorry that we did that. And that's how it came off to me personally. I hope that's not the case, and that's just me overthinking it. But yeah, I feel I love the game, so I wanted to have a really good redemption story. But it's just like they just keep digging themselves deeper, I feel.
Yeah, they've certainly, I would say, have little to no goodwill right now with the gaming community at large.
Yeah, they really need to. Like,
a
I'd
PR
say
firm.
by this time next year, this game needs to have done a total 180, as in like it needs to look and run. I mean, it might not look, because that's almost impossible, but it needs to look and run almost identical to how the PC is capable of running it on at least the Series X and PS5.
Yeah. So let's transition to the article from Jason Schreier, which highlighted, of course, crunch, amongst other things, internal discussions about realistically when they expected the game to be ready, and then really just the production history, which, like, I mean, none of that surprised me, right? Like the things that the article detailed, like the switching from third to first person, the fully expecting this thing not to come out to 2022, some of the language barriers, which I didn't think was as big of a deal as some people made it out to be, but that's the kind of thing that can slow down production. And really, like, just the guilt trips, right? Like on staff that didn't want to crunch. Well, someone's gonna have to pick up your slack, so do what you want to do. Like all of that makes total and utter sense to me, and it's disappointing, but not surprising. Like that's kind of what I walked away from the article going, like, yeah, this all fits with what I've experienced playing the game.
Big rip.
Yeah.
What I think,
go ahead.
what's crazy, I'm re-going over the article right now, and GTA and like Red Dead had thousands of people on it, it says, and this had 500, which is an increase from their already, which I assumed was a big studio at what was it, 350?
Yeah.
240 in-house staff for Witcher 3. That's a lot of people working on a game, right? So for Red Dead to have thousands, and obviously look how polished that game came out, and that's what it says they were striving to achieve is just crazy to me that you wanted that level of success with 3 times less whatever people. You know what I'm saying? Like that's insane.
Well, in a shorter production time, right? Like then, like if they weren't in full production until 2016, that's 4 years. Like I just kind of wonder, like what kind of cognitive dissonance do you have that like you're as a higher up at where you think you can pull that off in that amount of time with that amount of people?
I mean, based off of that article, I mean, it clearly started with like ridiculous ambition, right? Like that was the first step in what ended up happening. But I feel like that step is forgivable, right? Like you can have high expectations, set crazy high goals, and have all these big ambitions, and that's fine. But at some point, you need to like realize, hey, this is not realistic, or you need more time. It's their reaction to realizing that the game wasn't going to meet the expectations that they set for themselves or set for the consumers, and they went on with it anyways. That's where you fucked up. Like you can be forgiven for being overly ambitious, for not being able to deliver all these things that you wanted to do, right? Because it feels like they put out their whole plan for cyberpunk off of like jotted down ideas. Like, well, I want to make a game that has this, and this, and this, and that, right? And that's what we're gonna give you guys. But you were nowhere near accomplishing that at that point, and you're certainly still not there now. They did so many things. Like, come on, this you see it in the article too, right? Like this company doesn't have experience. Like they've been predominantly fantasy, third person, and they're gonna go in the complete opposite direction. Having towns where you fast travel and stuff, but they're gonna make this giant dense city, right? It's gonna be packed with a bunch of stuff, almost no loading. You're gonna do it all in first person, create this other combat system, and you're going in a completely different like genre than what you're accustomed to doing it, and you think it's all gonna work out just because Witcher 3. Like Witcher 3 was great, but it's not, you're not Rockstar, right? You're not just pumping out hit after hit after hit left and right. Like I don't know. There's so many red flags, and they ignored all of them.
It seems like this game could have been like that's the thing. Like, and I would have almost rather this be a bad game than like what it is because it would be less disappointing. I think if it was a bad game, it would be shocking. But like I feel like I would have gotten over that in a week or two. To come out and like all that potential is it's like right there, man. But like the 2022 like absolutely rings true to me where I go, yeah, like this thing came out in 2022. I imagine it probably would have hit most of the ambition that they were going for because they would have had time to polish, which would have been the big, thing that I think the biggest thing as far as like just having the game run well, but also like any other features that they wanted to maybe include that didn't end up making it, more time for that. It's just like it's disappointing because I really want. I've put it away, by the way, until like next fall or whenever like the next gen stuff. I've decided like it's too distracting for me to play it in the state that it's in. Like the hard crashes and a lot of the other stuff, like kind of the emptiness of the world, like all the stuff that I've touched on. But like I just like I would rather come back to this like when I've had a little bit of a break, and I want this to be unrecognizable the next time I play it from like where I've kind of started with it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, and I think if I try to push through now, I'm always going to have a little bit of resentment towards the game, and I don't want to feel that at all. So,
yeah. 'Cause the game's definitely because I actually enjoy the game a lot, and despite its many flaws, and it does have many, despite playing on the Series X and everything. But yeah, I'm hoping like all right, let me just ask you guys a question real quick. I know it's not anywhere near the hype level that Cyberpunk had, but like how would you like rate this next to No Man's Sky's launch? And I understand like this, like obviously CD Projekt and Hello Games, the size of those are totally different. Like it couldn't be more different, but like
in some ways they're similar, right? The hype level and expectations that's the key difference. But No Man's Sky also promised stuff in its gameplay and like the expectations, like things that you were going to be able to do that they even showed that weren't actually in the game when it finally came out. Things that they removed or scrapped. So in that aspect, it's pretty similar, right? Because they didn't deliver on some of the things that they said they would. However, I think the other big difference with No Man's Sky, and I haven't played No Man's Sky really enough to or have that experience, but No Man's Sky was completely playable when it came out. The game worked. It maybe I just the difference was the game wasn't that good at the time. You know, I
True.
think No Man's Sky is more like Anthem, where like the game, nobody complained about Anthem being unplayable. It just wasn't a good game. Had crazy load time, but like the game, that the game functioned as they intended. It just didn't pick up steam. It wasn't that engaging. That's why Cyberpunk is so frustrating because like we know everyone can understand and agree that you see the remnants of a potentially epic all-time great game, but it's marred by the inconsistencies and the shit that it's missing that it should have. You've got a great story there, you got a great cast, you've got some cool mechanics, you got an engaging story, but you put it together in a shitty package. If this game was put together the way Anthem was put together, or the way No Man's Sky was put together, you'd have a great fucking game. Just those two, when they came out, were not good games, but they were put together fine. I don't know.
Yeah, it's. I'm hoping, like I said, I'm hoping in a year's time the game's done a total like No Man's Sky. I don't know if
what would you guys think that they could do to the game here within a year or two to actually change it? Because I mean, say they got rid of all the stability issues, right? Say they got rid of bugs, hard crashes, like the game is completely stable and runs fine on all consoles, and say it just looks prettier here in a year when next gen comes out in I think they said second half of 2021. Like this game is still missing stuff. It's empty in some regards, right? They'd have to actually change things in the game and add stuff to it, right?
I mean, this game's gonna be forever like probably a 7 to me, like 7.5, like because yeah, I mean you can't suddenly. I mean, I guess they could, but with everything else on their plate, I don't see them enlarging the scope of the game or adding like big major features or anything like that. I just like I don't even enjoy like playing the moment to moment because of things like my character falling through the floor or like the hard crashes and stuff. It just like the bugs, like that's kind of the icing on the cake. Like I'm already not like as engaged as I was hoping I'd be. Like I love the main quest in the game and the bigger side quests, but like it's so hard for me right now to enjoy it. I don't think that this is gonna ever become like a 9 or a 10 like for me. Like I don't think that's like
They'd have to like revamp, like redo things. Like for me, like some of the things that really get me is like you've got this very dense and packed city and I can't talk to anyone. Like they just give me a one-liner basically telling me to fuck off. So I feel like some of that, like this game is dense, that has so much things in the city, but it's also hollow because none of it matters or means anything.
Yeah, I wouldn't go so far as to say it's a boring place because
Not
it's
boring.
not, but it's very empty and it's
Yeah.
like when you peel the first layer off, like and like I said at our first time talking about this, any bit of scrutiny on this game and like it really crumbles fast. Like I mean, there's a lot of detail and stuff in the world, but like in terms of like wanting to feel like you're part of it, like there's a big disconnect for me, like where I don't feel like I really matter much in the other than like the main quest and the characters that I interact with, like moment to moment. Whereas like GTA, like you go to like, that game, GTA 5, like you can have like such an emergent thing happen in that game just walking around. Like you start a fist fight with somebody by accident and the cops show up and next thing you know you're in a shootout and you're in a car chase and a helicopter chase and like the world is like you see like the world reacting, and I just don't ever feel like that kind of thing happens at all in Cyberpunk.
It doesn't.
No, it doesn't. I remember sharing that video with you guys where it was like it was comparing how the world reacts to you in GTA, a much older game, where like they run you over, right? You get hit by a car and the car just goes or just keeps going through you. You get into a fight and people just keep walking through you. Whereas in GTA, they're like, holy shit, and they turn around, walk the other way. If you get in front of their car, they start yelling at you. Like this is rudiment. That's a fucking Xbox 360 game, man. Right? They like that's I don't know.
And it's even better in Red Dead. Like they amplified it in Red Dead. Like you can interact with literally every single character and find these random events just happening in the world, right? Whether or not you're there, like that event's happening. Like, and it's crazy. And it would take probably like a big, like Blood and Wine style, like expansion of the game, maybe in a new area where they can introduce new things so they don't have to try and incorporate stuff into, trying to fill the old area of the map. That's really the only way I can see them kind of like being able to add those big new features that the OG game maybe didn't have.
They also shoot themselves in the foot because now everything is going to be pushed out because they have to spend so much time fixing this shit. Like the DLC is not going to come out when they originally hoped. Bro, they didn't even talk about the multiplayer.
Yeah, I'm glad they didn't.
So that's not happening in 2021. I can assure you. And then next year, when I hear second half of 2021, that to me is like fall. That is like after September is when that next gen update is coming out. Which. Yeah. I don't know, man. It's unfortunate. I don't think the game is going to be able to salvage it to the point where it's going to continue to have that mass appeal that it could have had. You lost already a lot of people that you're not going to get back. Man, this game's not even as good as The Witcher 2, let alone 3. And that was
Adam says that's shenanigans, but I call shenanigans on his shenanigans. Like, I agree with you. I think I think Witcher 2 is, it might be smaller in scope, but I think like, that's to the game's favor. Like, it's a very focused story.
Oh yeah, man. It's a little bit more linear for sure, but
yeah,
I loved it, man. Wow.
But so let's move on unless Bobby wants to add anything. I know your camera's off, Bobby, so I'm not sure if you're at your desk. Did you want to add anything before we move on?
No, I bought it, but other than that, I'm good.
Par for the course. Let's move on to Lucasfilm Games, the new umbrella for Star Wars properties announced. Many people had the question that was answered soon after if that meant that the EA contract for exclusivity was over, and we got the answer in the form of an announcement, a new Star Wars IP from the developers of The Division, part under the Ubisoft umbrella. Have no idea really what kind of game it's going to be, so I thought it would be kind of fun to speculate a little bit on that and talk about the greater implications of a new Star Wars IP out there from other studios. We'll also talk briefly about the new Indiana Jones game, which I'm very, very excited about as well. But let's start with Star Wars. That's the big one for sure.
All right, so like we have Jedi Fallen Order, right? And we have Assassin's Creed. So I feel like we don't need that style. I feel like, first of all, should it involve a lightsaber?
Yeah, it's hard for me to answer your question without saying what I think the game should be or what I hope it is. But I hope they do a bounty hunter style like game. I'm fine with it being open world, but that seems like the logical place. If you're the studio that made Division, you're good with combat that involves guns, like perfect, right? Like,
is the smart move to just do a Mandalorian game?
I would fucking love it. I mean, if you wanted to like do something in that universe, like I don't know that, like, because they're so careful with their canon, I don't know that I could see them doing like something where he's the featured character, right? And that's like a huge,
maybe just another Mandalorian, but like along the same lines, like not with the child and all that.
Like that'd be cool with like with how some of the major characters popped up in Fallen Order, like briefly. I think that's fine. And again, I'd be fine with it being part of like some of that like wider Mandalorian lore. But I just, to me, like just I would want like customize your character, make your scum, customize your galactic scum, and similar to the Division, but maybe not a games as a service. Maybe have it be a little more tight than that, like where I'm not worried about endgame or any of that shit or online services, but like let me take over like a planet, bit by bit. Like we do some crimes, some robberies, some heists, like get into some emergent gunfights and stuff like that. Like and they're great with detail. So like I imagine all the sounds and sights and everything would be very Star Wars. The music, obviously, like you could do something really cool that way. Will they do that? I have no idea.
I'm with you guys, man. Like, do you remember that canceled Star Wars project that was supposed to be some gritty
1313.
underworld?
1313.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I think you capitalize off of the Mandalorian and you do something that's not necessarily like, what do they call them? Space wizards?
Yeah.
Like the thing is, like, one thing that Star Wars has always, I wouldn't say got wrong, but struggled to like make it work is balancing. Like, you've got these super OP, overpowered, Jedi which can like shred through anything. Case in point, spoiler alert. Wait, have you finished The Mandalorian, Bobby?
Yeah.
Okay. Everyone here's okay. So spoiler alert,
for everyone listening. Yes.
for the final episode where Luke Skywalker comes in and just absolutely shits on all these droids that Mando had like a really hard time getting rid of just one of them. So it's clear that you're never gonna have a show in which Luke Skywalker and Mando are in the same thing, because it just doesn't fit, right? That's the same reason why Ahsoka wasn't gonna be like his tag team buddy, right? Like, it doesn't work, right? So if they made a game that was like Division style and made it where it's more about maybe smugglers, bounty hunters, that kind of world, that could really work. You still depending on the timeline, you may or may not have to incorporate Jedi. But the thing is, the second that you put a Jedi as the main character, everything just becomes like it's all that matters is Jedi on Jedi combat. I mean, take Fallen Order, right? Really good game, but if you're not fighting another Jedi or a monster, a big giant, monster, like whatever.
Oh,
He cut out.
may have lost.
Do you think, while we wait for him to get back, it'd be cool if they did like almost like a morality system too? Like, do you want to fight for the good guys, or do you want to fight for the bad guys? Because that's like a big part of Star Wars, right? Is good versus evil.
Yep.
But at the same time, it'd be cool to be that neutral party who doesn't give a shit. No, I'm not on anyone's side. I'm on my own side. So I mean, yeah, there's so many different ways they could go. I'm hoping for as long as it's just like a cohesive story, man, because the Division story is very forgettable in my opinion.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping that, I'm hoping no games as a service. I'm hoping it's just a single player open world game. And man, like everyone's been craving it, man. Like, especially if they let you go like planet hopping and stuff like that. Like, if you can maybe like design your ship, customize your ship or something, or maybe like rise through the ranks, right? Start as a low guy in the slums and work your way up to whatever, being Palpatine's right hand man or some shit. I don't know, but there's so many different ways they could go, man. I can't wait.
I just hope they go I hope they go RPG though. Like, I want it to have RPG elements, like I'd rather it be I like the Division. It was cool up until the end for me, but I'd like to see a little bit less Division and more Knights of the Old Republic.
Hell yeah.
Like, you can combine more elements of the Knights of the Old Republic, like story wise, choice wise. I love choice RPGs. They can do that. It'd be great. I don't know if I want to definitely have no Jedi, or I do want to have Jedi.
They can be in the story, right? Yeah, but you don't have to. The main character don't got to be Jedi.
Yeah. But
or even if you
I
can
don't care,
make a
man.
squad, man, like Mass Effect, if you
Yeah.
make a squad and have a Jedi, maybe like a young Jedi on your squad or something, so they won't be super
Maybe.
overpowered or anything.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. But at the end of the day, I don't care, man. Just give me more Star Wars shit, man. Like, I don't,
I hope
Like,
it's an RPG, man. Now that you said that, like
Yeah.
that would be the
I
best.
think it's safe to bet that there'll be RPG elements. Like how far they take it, just with like their track history, with gear and weapons and things like that. Like, I think it's a safe bet that there'll be some RPG elements.
You
What
think
do
it'd
they
be
do?
more akin to like how Assassin's Creed's got the RPG elements in it?
Not in terms of melee combat, but like everything else. Like, sure. Like, I hope they go deeper than that. Like, if they're gonna go that route, because while I appreciate that, like that Assassin's Creed become more RPG-y, like I roll my eyes at anybody that says like it's an RPG now, and I'm
Oh
like,
yeah,
I'm like,
absolutely.
no, it's, I'm
No,
like, no,
no.
it's not. I'm like, I don't know what RPGs you play, but like, is it an RPG-ish game? Like, yeah, are there RPG elements? Like, absolutely, but like,
Yeah, like sprinkled.
yeah, but that
Yeah,
is not
like,
that is
it's
even
you get 4 or 5 major choices, and I don't know what RPG you can literally get every single skill that exists out there.
yeah,
You know, but that's it's an illusion of it, and it's cool. I think it fits. It works well for Assassin's Creed. I don't want
Yeah.
that in a Star Wars.
No.
Give me some, you know what they could do is they could do a Battlefront type scenario, right, during a time of war, and make it Division style, right, where you're a soldier in
Yeah.
some one of the roaring factions, a Clone Wars, type thing. There's a lot of
that would
lore
be
there,
cool. Hell
and
yeah,
a
dude.
lot of
I'm watching that right now.
and there's a lot of lore there, and there's a lot of characters that play huge roles in that without being Jedi. So if they can incorporate that, that's good to draw from. But I'd also be totally cool with like them just going either High Republic or Old Republic. They could be introducing some of that stuff, because they're talk about the High Republic now and all that, kind of going away from the stuff we know. So if they go through another era and just start with something fresh where they don't have to worry about canon stuff or lining stories up, I'd be all for that. Just give me some more Star Wars, man. Give me some choice. Give me some good story, and I'm happy, man. And I'd be happy with something like that.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, we've never really had like an open world, like a true open world Star Wars game. So like it's such a rich universe. Like it kind of begs for that treatment where you like having that discovery and kind of like, I mean, you get a little bit of that in Fallen Order with like the areas, but in terms of like having an entire planet to like mess around with or multiple planets to like really explore, like that's something that we've never gotten. So it's exciting.
Zach, can you believe this guy hasn't played Knights of the Old Republic 1 or 2?
Oh man.
Just I own it now. I own the first one, but
Look,
I'm really worried it just won't hold up. Like,
all right, the gameplay,
it probably won't, but
it totally is not. It totally doesn't hold up, man. But the story is just next level.
So should I play it on easy and just like
yeah? If you want, just get the story. It is so good.
Or play it on
It
PC.
is so
Or play it
good.
on PC. Where
You can play it on your iPad. You can play it anywhere.
No, I've got it on my Xbox. I'm sure I can get it for a couple bucks on Steam, but
it's worth it, man. Like the gameplay,
Listen,
it's like Mass Effect 1.
Yeah, there's no Mass Effect if it wasn't for those fucking games. If you like Mass
Jade Empire,
like,
I know was another one that they did back in the day.
Think of like, all right, would you be able to get through a Mass Effect game if the gameplay itself, if the combat was like really, really dated? But like, is
that's
the
Mass
story
Effect
good enough for you to go-
Yeah.
If that's what you could do, then
Yeah.
that'll hold up. Obviously, the graphics aren't going to be fucking next level, but dude, that cast of I know you like a good story, man, and that cast of characters.
Have you had anything spoiled?
Yes, I had the probably arguably what I not knowing anything about the game. What is the bigger spoiler is like who your character actually is, like, which is like
it's the journey is still so worth it.
Yeah,
which is wild.
Because if they ever like if you play that game, even if you don't play the second one, right? If you play the first one and like you get to love that world as much as the people who have played it, right? And then if they eventually bring that world back, you're gonna be like, fuck yeah, dude.
Okay.
Bro, and you'll understand why there's so much love for the Old Republic.
Oh, I already do. Like,
you don't. No, you can't. You can't understand unless you played those fucking games.
Fair enough. Bobby, so are you excited for Star Wars games that are not EA? Like, now that you've taken your first step into a larger world, to quote one of my favorite Star Wars characters, does that do more for you, like as a gamer? Like, are you excited to see where it goes, and like what do you want out of like a Ubisoft Star Wars game?
Well, I've always been a big Ubisoft fan, so all their games I've liked, almost all of them, except for like the End War games. Like those are pretty awful. But I see it more of a Far Cry type.
Okay.
Is what I see more like a Ghost Recon Far Cry type, where it's more open world map with a lot of side missions, almost kind of like a Destiny. I see it going more towards that way.
First person?
Yeah.
Like Far Cry?
Yeah.
That'd be pretty cool.
Yeah.
I do. I see that because even Far Cry has some of the like some of the things you could fly around in. Like I could see some of those coming into it, kind of like Destiny does. Like I could see that. I see that more than anything else than anything I've considered. I'm hoping it's not like a uh, I don't want to say a Diablo-esque game. I'm hoping it's not like a top-down, like they're going to try to do something completely different, and that's not what anybody wants after leaving EA. So I'm hoping for the worst, but I've been around for a lot, so I don't know. After EA screwed Star Wars for so long, I'm kind of in between on the fence of this one.
I take offense with that. Squadrons and Fallen Order were great games. Did EA have some
Yeah,
mishaps
but what about
with
Battlefield?
Battlefront? I know, but
Battlefront
Yeah.
turned out to Battlefront was a
they
great
fixed
game. It just
Not the first
unfortunately
one.
no.
They
Well,
they
it-
The
unfucked
second
it.
one, yeah. See,
They unfucked it. They unfucked it. But hey, I'm glad that they lost exclusivity because hey, EA's not done with Star Wars. They made that very clear.
Yeah.
EA will still be making Star Wars games. So
they
hey,
could do like a StarCraft with Star Wars.
I
EA? No, that was Blizzard.
I think they're gonna go the route like they're doing with the Disney Plus shows, where they're gonna go all in Marvel MCU style. Just don't give me an Avengers game like that. But and they're gonna
Yeah,
just
not that
fucking
again.
double down and make as much Star Wars content as possible. And I'm all for it. Some people are gonna be worried that you're gonna like oversaturate it, that there's too much. But for me, there's no such thing. There's too much Star Wars. I'm cool with that. I don't think we've gotten enough.
yeah, it's a big universe. Like I'm totally in support of them going into a different corner with like new people. Like there's no reason why you can't tell a compelling story in that universe with people in places that you've never heard of. I like your idea for a Far Cry, but I think that's
I forgot? Isn't the main guy in Far Cry 6 the Star Wars Mandalorian villain?
yeah, Giancarlo Esposito.
Yeah,
Yep.
I forgot that. Yeah.
Yep, sure is.
And that game's also delayed too.
Yeah, that's fine. I think you're going to see a lot of that. That's why I said I didn't think there was too much near done in 2020. 2021's been always the year that I've really I'm worried about this year and next year as far as games. I think it's going to be a lot of backlog, but yeah, Far Cry Star Wars, Bobby, sounds awesome to me, especially with vehicles. Because like the best thing about Far Cry is kind of like we talked about with like emergent moments in GTA, it's just causing havoc. Like I'll do like 2 or 3 like bases, like really stealthy. And then, I'm like, I'll get to another one and I'm like, you know what? I'm not feeling stealthy. And I'll strap some C4 to a truck. I'll crash it into the compound, blow it up. There's a bear running around, mauling people. And it's just like, just fucking chaos. And like, that's just as fun. It's to have the option is really cool. So
yeah, see, that's what I remember. Everybody hated about what Far Cry Primal was going to be because they're like, no, this is going to be dumb. It's like cavemen or whatever. But Far Cry Primal was even badass. So if they could do something going from Far Cry to Primal back to Far Cry to a Star Wars, I have faith in it.
I prefer
Ubisoft doesn't take on too much. That's what I mean. Now they're getting involved with Resident Evil, so it's like I hope that they don't do way too much.
I definitely would prefer third person for me. Like first person, it's always been a step down for me personally, especially with like big story games. But I've never finished a Far Cry game. The one I played the most was the one. Is it Far Cry 5? The one where they're in like Tibet, something like that. 4. Okay, somewhere in Asia, right? And I played a lot. It's just those games get overwhelming, man. The open world stuff, it becomes way too much stuff. If you can't temper yourself from having to finish every little icon on the map, that's kind of what gets me with those games sometimes. But they're good. Their mechanics are great, So I'm excited, man. I'm excited. I hope there's more to come. And I think they're gonna say. I think they mentioned that they're going to be announcing several Star Wars or Lucasfilm game projects this year. It does look like they're all pretty far out. I don't think anything is around the corner except for Fallen Order 2. But yeah.
Yeah, Disney needs to make that money back somehow, so they gotta invest in other ways.
So last but certainly not least, Machine Games, makers of Wolfenstein, New Order, and New Colossus, underneath the Bethesda umbrella and now Microsoft umbrella, announced that they are making an Indiana Jones game. We got a brief teaser that had just a few notes from the iconic theme, along with a nice sweeping shot of some maps, the whip, the fedora, and that's it really. And of course, the Bethesda and Machine Games, I think logos. This got me so excited for something that is like we know virtually nothing about on basically, for two reasons. Number one, Machine Games makes a hell of a story. Wolfenstein and New Colossus both were fantastic stories. I encourage anybody, like even if you have to play on baby mode, if you just want to fly through, there's such good shooters and just fantastic stories. Especially the second one was one of the best stories that year. Period. Like not just shooter stories, but like stories. So I think they have a great chance of making a great game. I hope that it's not a shooter. I would like to see them do I feel like Indy would be hard, right? So much of that character is the jacket, the hat, the whip. I don't know how that would translate to first person personally, but
is it gonna be first person? Did
they
say
haven't said anything. I don't know, but I hope it's
man.
not. Like I
come
want.
on, you give me Uncharted with a Indiana Jones skin. You've got the blueprint right there.
Yeah.
Don't it's right there. Give me that Uncharted vibes, Tomb Raider style. It's right there, man.
So exciting, right? Like again, I really can't emphasize enough. Check it out if you've never played those Wolfenstein games. Watch a recap of the first one and play the second one if nothing else. What's up, Adam? Still on the red carpet? Welcome to the podcast. He's got a Colts beanie on, it looks like, too. If you're a audio listener, Adam's joining us here. Adam, we're just wrapping up discussion around the Indiana Jones announcement, and we touched briefly on obviously like all the Lucasfilm game stuff. So if you want to chime in on either of those things, like go right ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Sir.
Indiana Jones is cool. Let's go, everybody.
So I saw a lot of discussion on exclusivity. Do we think it's going to be exclusive?
Man, by the time that game launches, probably. Because once that deal goes through, which is
the deal's not even finalized yet.
Yeah, that'll be later this year. And then once the stuff that's already announced is no longer announced, I think everything will be exclusive. So that game's probably 3 years out. So I wouldn't be shocked if it was Xbox PC exclusive at all.
That'd be huge.
It better
if
be.
It was, man. If it was Indiana Jones, it's a big deal, man.
I could see them going Nintendo.
It would not run on a Nintendo system.
But do you think Lucasfilm's games would be okay with that though?
Marvel's okay with it.
I see it as a Diablo game. That's what I think is going to happen. I think it's going to be Indiana Jones, like crossover Diablo-esque.
So you're envisioning like a dungeon crawler with Indiana Jones?
I am. That's how I see it. But
nah, man, it's no way. Not the way that they showed that teaser, man. That teaser is going to be either first person or it's going to be like
Uncharted seems like the smart play.
It is Uncharted Tomb Raider, but with Indiana Jones 100%.
Yeah.
If it's not like, I feel like if it's.
But see, I would be fine with that, but I wouldn't trust Bethesda with. I mean,
making a
after Fallout
game?
and Fallout and Fallout.
Well, again, it's the people who made
Fallout.
Wolfenstein. So do you trust the guys who made Wolfenstein?
I do. I
too?
love Wolfenstein.
Well, there you go. That's the guys making it.
But Bethesda, I don't trust. I've fallen in love with Fallout and in and out. Even update, they say it's better, and it's still.
This isn't Bethesda Game Studios, so it's Bethesda the publisher, not the game studios. I think we're gonna be fine, Bobby. Sorry, go ahead, George.
It's also I trust Microsoft that they need to start hitting home runs with the games, right, that are associated with the studios that they basically own, right? They need to start hitting home runs. So I think that they're going to make sure that game delivers. You can't make an Indiana Jones game and flop this late in the game.
No.
Maybe when that shit was popular, whatever, that you're kind of like just banging off the rights, but man, you can't. You have to make it has to be a good game.
Awesome. So we're gonna wind down with just a little bit of catch up on what we've been binging or watching as we head into 2021. So what's everybody been jamming on as far as TV shows or even movies? Like
I have TV shows. I watched the 4-part mini-series documentary on the Night Stalker. That guy was a fucking creep. If that's your thing, watch it. I don't know. I kind of regret watching it. I don't like to watch that kind of stuff. Well, that guy is dead, so that's usually the only time that I'll watch serial killer stuff is when the guy is dead. I don't like giving those guys like more attention and shit. But that guy's a freaking nut job. On a lighter note, um, catching up more on the Expanse. I guess I just started season 4, trying to get through that. But I'm watching that with the wife, so it's a little slow. Almost done with season 1 of Attack on Titan. Really enjoying that, and now I am watching the WandaVision. I watched the first 2 episodes. I think most people really enjoyed it. I'm not there yet. Like, I obviously. Well, has everybody here watched it? I don't know if we're spoiling or
I've watched it.
watch it.
We can keep it like, a little bit loose. Like, we'll just say mild spoilers. Like,
Mild spoilers. They're obviously trapped in something, right? They're like some I don't know if it's multiverse or whatever. It does seem like it's going to drag on for a while before they come out of it and the plot really starts. I don't know if they're going to be creative with it. I'm not like hooked on it, but I'll watch it. But it's cool. It's funny, interesting, but we'll see. I was never really interested in those 2 characters that much to begin with. I think that's the tough part, but hopefully that'll change over time.
Yeah, I like the commitment to the style. Number one, I think is great. Like, they've nailed that. Like, as a kid who grew up watching Nick at Night with my parents a lot, like, I enjoy that. So my theory is, I think this is like, I think Vision's actually dead. I think this is like her way of like coping with grief. Like, it seems very much like there's like some sort of mental block there. Like, I'm getting a lot of vibes of like, suppression, right? Like, she's suppressing stuff, like not being able to remember where she is. Yeah. I like it's weird. Like, I don't think I'm as like hot as like some people, but I'm certainly pretty warm on it. Like, I enjoyed those first 2 episodes. I'm plenty engaged to keep going as far as WandaVision goes. Bobby, have you watched it?
I did.
Yeah.
I love old TV shows and stuff, and what's weird is it's hard for me to watch it because it's overacting, as opposed to like back then it was like that's how it originated. So it was like that was their acting style. It didn't look as like bad as some of the acting is. Even though I like Olsen, I keep forgetting she's one of the twins' older sister, Mary Kate and Ashley. I always forget that till I see her face from the side. But I need to see more. I'm kind of like Adam. I was kind of in and out. I hope each episode isn't like a 70s, 60s.
That's what it looks like, man.
Yeah, I think they're going to progress over time.
Yeah. I mean, I think once the whole season's done, I may enjoy it. I just, some of these shows, it just seems like I need a couple more episodes to actually get into it. And right now I'm kind of not.
Talk about those 2. Is it Paul Bettany? Or Bethany or Bettany?
Bettany.
And Elizabeth Olsen being out of their element, right? Because like they're really having to put on to give you that 50s, 60s vibe compared to what their characters are actually like in the Avengers movies. Like they couldn't be any more different. So I do think that's pretty impressive for sure.
Yeah. Enjoy it. Adam, you liking it?
Yeah, I like it. It's definitely the thing where we're still seeing what's happening. I'm intrigued based on the theories and things that I think are actually going on. And I think by the time the season's over, people will be a lot warmer on it than they are now. First 2 episodes are really like, okay, I guess what's happening. But based on little clues and stuff that's going on, I think it keeps you interested and intrigued at very least to be like, I want to see where this is going. But I like it probably more than most people, but I see the shortcomings. But I'm like, I really want to see what happens because I think I know what's going on.
Yeah. I'm with you on that. I think it's going to get a lot better, and I thought it was a good move to put 2 episodes.
Yeah.
Because if you did week 1 like that, week 2 like that, and I'm like, nah, you're gonna start losing people. But I think they're probably gonna deliver on something pretty interesting tomorrow. I would hope, to kind of kick up the action a little bit. But yeah,
we're finally in color now.
Yep.
Yeah, thank God, because my kids kept saying my TV was broke.
But they do that so good because it's black and white, and then those few things are in color, and it's like,
Yeah. My kids kept looking around. They're like looking at the TV, looking around. They're like, "Daddy, what's wrong with the TV? It's broken."
They did confirm. It was confirmed, I think, today or yesterday that this is happening literally right after and
Yeah,
right after. So
that makes sense. So Expanse I've also been watching, but I'm on season 5. It is my favorite season of that show, like hands down, and I think it's one of the best shows on TV. Like this season, I've been watching with my brother in party chat on Xbox, and like it's cemented. It's like, I mean, before it was already one of my favorite shows, but I think this season is definitely put it in like top tier echelon of like great all-time great TV shows. I hope more people get to watch it eventually. Like it seems like slowly but surely it's building a cult following. But highly recommend if you don't watch The Expanse. It's basically Game of Thrones in space with like a little bit of like Mass Effect vibes, a little bit of like Firefly, like if you like that show, with the kind of the misfit crew and stuff like that. A little more serious than Firefly for sure.
a little less incest.
Than what? Oh, Game of Thrones. Yeah, so far anyway. Yeah. But yeah, just in terms of like shocking moments and like political plotting and stuff like that, it's got all that in spades. I've also been watching Attack on Titan, but again, final season, and I have not been a fan so far. I feel like for a shorter season than they traditionally have, they've wasted a lot of goddamn time on stuff that I won't talk about. Where I've heard it, like it was a great moment, like that ended the most recent episode I saw. I think I'm 2 behind, and I was like, whoa, finally, here we go, drama. Like, because a lot of it felt like filler for a short season, so been enjoying that. And then I'm trying to think, I feel like there's one other thing. Oh, Cobra Kai, not caught up on yet, but new season, it's great. I don't know why people I've seen a lot of weird, like not really from fans, like people like regular Joes like seem to really like that show, but critics come at that like expecting like it's gonna be like something that it's not, and I'm baffled when I see like reviews for Cobra Kai where it's like oh, this show is really falling off the map, and like the quality, and I'm like, dude, like this show is great because it knows exactly what it is. It's cheesy, it's fun, like it doesn't take itself too seriously, and it doesn't expect you to either, and like that you can kind of just sit back and enjoy it. Do you like Cobra Kai? I know you're watching it, Adam, you said.
Yeah, I'm on I finished season 1 and I just started season 2 the other day.
Okay, yeah. Bobby, do you watch Cobra Kai?
Yeah, my wife and I just finished all of it. We tried to watch it a few times, and we're like, man, this is too boring. But then after watching so many back to back, we got into it, and then we didn't stop until.
Yeah, once it takes off, it's like you're good to go for the rest of the show.
Johnny's the best, though, man. He's hysterical. Like I can't. My wife and I laugh every single thing he says and does. It's just so funny because it's so wrong today, but it's so right at the same time. It's just freaking hysterical.
Quiet, pussies.
Yeah, it's a great, like, what a great conceit. You have a bully from the 80s that is now dealing with like woke culture and like modern society, and like he hasn't grown up or like really like advanced at all. So yeah, I mean, it's instant comedy, but also like he's got a great like redemption arc, from like moment one, really, from the first episode. Like they're putting him on this redemption arc, which is like, I think it works really well. But
I was glad that he said that, like, he kind of thought that LaRusso was kind of a douche, and it was all his fault, because I kind of thought that for a long time, and my friends used to always tell me I was crazy. I was like, no, like, he wasn't that innocent.
His retelling of the first Karate Kid is
the
funniest fucking thing. I pissed myself
that was
laughing.
the best. Yeah.
His perspective of like how it all went down is great.
Just hanging out with my girl, minding my own business. This asshole comes out of nowhere.
This guy comes out of nowhere. Yeah. Breaks my radio.
He's like, and we were good. I was gonna leave it alone, and the next thing I know, he's spraying me with water in the bathroom. Like, yeah, it's really fucking funny. But yeah, so I think that's pretty much it as far as shows. George, anything else that you're watching?
No, man, Cobra Kai is on my list.
Watch it with Natalia. You guys, that's a good like couple.
It's on my list for sure. Maybe after I finish Expanse, or Attack on Titan. But it's good. I did also watch. It's like a mini series. It's called Manhunt: Deadly Games. It's a follow up. I don't know if you guys ever watched the one with Sam Worthington where he was the guy, the detective investigating the Unabomber. So this is like the second season. They're not related to each other in any way. Like the first season ends with its story. The second one was about the Centennial Park bomber.
Was that the Olympics bombing?
Yeah, and then he bombed several other
Yeah.
things, hiding out in the one where they wrongfully accused and tried in the media this Richard Jewell, who it wasn't him, and he was the guy who actually found the bomb and saved like hundreds of people, and they thought it was him. Pretty messed up. How the media can really screw over someone's life. That was pretty interesting. It's pretty good. I definitely recommend that. I think that stars Cameron Britton. It's the guy from where's he from? He's from shit. What's that movie with the series with the FBI guys when they start doing the serial killer stuff?
Manhunter.
Mindhunter.
Yeah.
He's the guy.
Oh, he's the big dude. Yeah.
Yeah, dude, that guy does a great job for that, and he's also in the Umbrella Academy.
Oh, cool.
But he does a really good job. Yeah.
Segue to
it.
that. The Clint Eastwood Richard Jewell movie. The guy from that is Stingray from Cobra Kai.
Nice. Stingray is awesome.
Yeah.
Yes, he is a highlight.
But yeah, other than that, no, man, just playing. Well, I don't know. We can talk about what we've been playing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah.
We'll transition to that, and then we'll dip.
Yeah. So I finished Valhalla.
Real quick, not to cut you off.
Yeah,
I've
you're
also
good.
been watching Letterkenny. Letterkenny is fantastic. Watched like 4 seasons in like 2 days. It's great.
They're
My
shorter
wife
seasons, so
hates that show. She will leave the room when I'm watching it because I will be laughing hysterically at the stupid crap.
It's a very specific sense of humor, but if you like it, it's fucking great.
Marianne and I also like Letterkenny. We got to get back to it. I like that because you can kind of pick it up and put it down.
A whole season's like 2.5 hours.
The Canadian show.
Yeah, Canadian show.
Allegedly.
I've heard some funny stuff about it, but
It's good.
yeah, finished Valhalla. Done with that. 120 some odd hours later. Fuck, that game was long. Kind of took like a little break. Like I didn't feel up for playing quite anything. Like I wasn't ready to dive right in. I played Cyberpunk a little bit here and there. Done a couple of quests and stuff. Like it's been fine. I haven't had any issues with the game. But yeah, I'm just not like I haven't gotten to a point where I'm like I need to finish this and can't drop it. It could also be a little exhausting. What I have been playing since I don't know if I mentioned in the last show, but thanks to Chris and a lot of patience, I finally built a PC. So naturally, I downloaded and I've been playing nonstop a 10-year-old game. But I've been playing the Old Republic MMO. It's free to play. And I just remember really enjoying the story. I don't know that the MMO is that great, but the story up into it was pretty awesome. And all these expansions have come out that I haven't been able to play because I didn't have a PC. So I've, whatever. I think now if you just sign up, do the little subscription, they'll be included with it. So signed up for 2 months and I've been playing that a ton, and it's been a lot of fun going through that. So if you do end up liking Knights of the Old Republic, Chris, it's kind of like the continuation of that, at least the story wise. So it's been fun playing that again. So it's been cool. Yeah, enjoying the new PC until I can get a 3080 and that'll complete my build. But
speaking of which, lottery system. For anyone that wants one, Newegg is doing a lottery system now where they'll have a 3-hour window. You can put what you want, and it should help with bots, which is good.
Yep.
I am still on Valhalla. I'm at like 72 or 73 hours. I've got like 5 more areas to go. I've finished the off-map areas, is all I'll say, to kind of keep that spoiler free. So I'm closing in. I'm sure I've got like another 20-30 hours left, but I'm enjoying it. I'm kind of like wondering if I should just look up where the little data cores are and take George's advice and like push through the story and then like save some stuff for later, because I'm getting a little fatigued finally. Like I still enjoy it, but like I am getting to that point. I finally checked out the Sekiro boss rush mode and I love it. I streamed that on Monday. I'm going to stream it again tonight. George showing off the computer. Very nice. Very nice. I really like it. Like it is scratching the itch, like where I was like, I kind of want to play a Soulsborne game. but like I don't know that I want to go through like all the story and going back and forth. So it basically is allowing me to play Sekiro and fight all the bosses again without having to like go through all the story and shit. And they've added some new attacks. So Genichiro, like he stomped me just like he did like the very first time for like a good hour, and then I finally got down the couple of new things they added. So that is a cool free update. My next game planned is probably going to be Spearfair, which I know will make Adam happy. I need a nice palate cleanser after
That's
Valhalla.
definitely a palate cleanser after Sekiro Valhalla.
Well, yeah, exactly. I wanted something kind of chill. And I'm also eyeballing. I didn't know that. What is it? The ninja game that fucking Yacht Club Games is putting out. It comes out next week. The people that made Shovel Knight are making like
yeah, I was saying Shovel Knight. I didn't know they had it. I knew they were supposed to have a game come out, but I did not realize it was coming out. That's
coming to Game Pass next week. So
oh yeah. I saw that. I didn't know that was Yacht Club. Yeah, I forgot what it's
so I'm
called. Something
super
Samurai.
excited because they did such a good job with Shovel Knight, like the authenticity of like a Mega Man had a baby with the DuckTales game, like so this looks like Ninja Gaiden kind of like I'm very excited. For
Cyber
that.
Shadow is what
Cyber
it's
Shadow.
called.
I knew it was Cyber something, but I couldn't come up with a second. But yeah, so that's where I have my eyes kind of set after Valhalla. Bobby, how about you, man? What are you working on these days? What's out of cellophane?
Well, out of cellophane's a whole different story. But I will say my wife and I, we watched all the Harry Potters. That's something we did since the first of the year. We watched all of them, all way too many of them. We watched all of them.
Yeah,
And then we've been watching, mostly me, The Magicians on Netflix. Which
I'm sorry, I forgot to ask you what you've been watching, dude. That's my bad.
No, it's good. No, I figured I'd just wait. The Magicians is great. It's like Harry Potter, but like if real people were in it.
Yeah, R-rated. I read the books.
Yes,
I love the books.
Man, the books were great. Yes, and the show is fantastic. I highly recommend it. Don't watch it around children. I will say, my daughter repeated a few things that I had to stop watching it in season 2 around her. But other than that, I've been doing this thing with TrueTrophies.com. They actually have like achievement. I don't know if it's True Achievements maybe.com. I don't know what the Xbox one is, but they're doing it's kind of like a battleship game where they create an 8x8 board, which trophies, like random ass bronze trophies you have to get from like all these different games. So I've been doing that. I kind of took a break from Immortals, Phoenix Rising. I kind of felt like between that and Assassin's Creed, I felt like I was playing the same game,
Yeah.
but in 2 different like anime aspects. So I had to take a break. But playing some of these other games, like even Risk of Rain 2 was one of the ones that I remember Zach talking about that a couple weeks ago, I think for the Game of the Year. Risk of Rain 2 was great to get back into some of these older games that I completely forgot about. NBA Playgrounds, Mortal Kombat X. And I had to play Madden 16. That was interesting to go back and get a trophy from that. But it's pretty cool. It's like Goat Simulator. Like I've been playing so many random games now. It's been fun to kind of get back into them. And I haven't done it to where I'm just getting the trophy. I actually keep playing it. Like Dead Nation now, I'm stuck because I'm like, I love playing it at this point. And I'm just like, I don't care. I got the trophy. And let me tell you, out of 20 shots now, I've made 1 to 19 of hitting a freaking battleship in this damn game. But I've seen people where I didn't know that you could rig it to do like Mayo and like games like that where it's like easy ass trophies and people cheated to win right off the bat. But I've been enjoying it. That was fun, and I've just been playing a whole bunch of random things. But I did get back into Minecraft Dungeons. One of those trophies were on there, and it's still the game of the year. Just saying.
If only you had exercised your right to vote.
I have that list. I want to send it out, but I want to play those other games first before I send it over. So I just maybe a couple more cellophanes later, about 3 months, I should be able. And I didn't realize that I opened one game the other day. I forgot that the inserts, you have to redeem the codes by a certain time. So now I'm going to have to go through and actually open all these damn games.
They're all expired.
Or I'm going to lose. I know. I thought about that. I was like, I had the Fortnite Last Laugh bundle. And it was like, it's expiring soon. I'm like, this damn thing just came out. But yeah. So that, my Apex, I got the Bloodline Apex game DLC that came in a case with no game. I have to redeem that apparently soon. So yeah, I'm going to have to open quite a few games. But not Cyberpunk. I'm going to wait on that. Steelcase is pretty though.
Yeah, Steelbook.
It's
Well,
nice.
Godspeed on that journey, and I think that pretty much wraps us up. If anybody wants to plug anything, feel free.
I mean, I've been playing games, but no big deal.
Oh shit, dude, I'm batting 150 right now out of 1,000. So go ahead, man. I'm so sorry.
You're good. Basically, Bobby hooked your boy up and got me a PS5.
Yeah.
So that was awesome.
Hey, let me tell you something real quick. Of course, my brother-in-law, the day I shipped that to you, not even, I told my wife, it was 3 hours later, he sent me a message. It was like, hey, you still got that PS5? And I was like, you son of a bitch. Like, no,
tell him come get it.
No. Luckily I got one today from Walmart. I got one from Walmart during the 3 o'clock thing. I was like the first one to get one. And I was like, thank Christ, because I'm never waiting to buy another one of these damn things.
Blame you.
But I'm glad you got it.
Yes, thank you very much. That was awesome. So I got that. So I've been diving into that. I played and beat Miles Morales. Love that game. I also went back and played original Spider-Man remaster because it had been a while. Miles is so much better.
Really?
It's just it's a better, more condensed version of that game because I love that Spider-Man game. There's a lot of bloat.
How long was Miles for you?
I haven't got the platinum. I don't care about platinums, but you get the new game plus. But for main story, 100% everything in the game was like 10, 11 hours.
Oh shit! All right,
We gotta pick that up, Chris.
Is it 40 or 50 new for that? I can't remember.
I think it's 50.
I think it's 50, but I bought the
$50,
$70 version to get Spider-Man remaster. But I love that game. I think it's so much better it's better because it's shorter, but Miles is great. The story's cool. The new powers are awesome. I think it was great. If I would have played that before Game of the Year, that actually might have been on my list somewhere. It wouldn't have won, but it would have been up there. Started another playthrough on God of War. We were playing Fall Guys. What else? I started George says we need to talk. I started Ghost of Tsushima. I do not like that game very much. And I'm shocked because I thought I would love it.
How far? I was very lukewarm my first 10 hours in that game.
5 hours in. That's another thing. I was like, only 5 hours. It's very early. But I was like, I'm not feeling
George, do you remember, George, when you and I talked and you were like, I really like, and I was like, I'm not like, I think it's fine. I'm not loving it. And then like our AC broke and we were confined to that room. And basically like the only thing that I could do was like fucking, play video games like when I wasn't working, and that it clicked, and then like I was like all in on it, but it did take me a little bit. I know it's a big ask, 10 hours.
Finish the first area.
Yeah, I'm dicking around the first area.
Yeah, finish the first area, and if you like the first map, island.
Islands, right?
Yeah. And if it's not clicking for you there, I mean, it won't.
Yeah, that's what I think it will, because I like combat. I like the way it looks. It's absolutely gorgeous, but I'm just like, I don't really want to play it. Like I stopped, just like, I don't want to explore this part. But again, I'm thinking once I hit a certain story part, it'll probably get better. So I'm assuming that.
Are you playing Hitman 3 tonight?
Yes, I started playing Hitman 3. That was my main thing.
I'm pissed off.
Boy.
Amazon has been driving me nuts with the pre-orders, man. It's like just like Immortals took me forever to get one, like 6 weeks almost. Now it's pushed back for Hitman 3. I had to pre-order for Best Buy to pick up tomorrow.
Why do you care? You don't play any of these games.
I want to play
understand.
I wasn't gonna say it, but thank you.
What?
Hey, sometimes it's just nice to know it's there.
True. No, I love
sometimes
Hitman.
All the times. I've never played a Hitman game, but I was thinking about picking this one up.
3's great. And again, I tweeted this earlier because I played all those games because I love them. So you import all your progress from 1 and 2. So when I started Hitman 3, it's just like, here's 18 achievements, because it gave you the back achievements because the old game is in the new game. So it's like, you've done it again. So, but yeah, the new stuff they put in there is gorgeous. Every level is great. I'm only on the first level now, but yeah, I love Hitman. I can't wait to dive in that this week.
Does 3 come with 1 and 2 the way that 2 came with 1? Or
it depends. It'll come with it if you own it already, or you can buy it. I've already owned them, so it just gave them to me, and it redoes everything in the new engine. Gotcha. I think if you buy it on Epic Game Store, you can get 1. It's weird, but I already own everything on Xbox, so when I bought it on Xbox, it's like, here you go. It's already installed.
Cool. I'm curious. It looks fun. Like I like watching people play. Like it's a fun game to watch if nothing else. Like I think it's a blast. Like all the different.
It's also my type of game. I know you talked to it wasn't your type of thing. It's definitely my type of thing. That's why I love it. I'll play Splinter Cell and fucking Hitman till the day I die.
Splinter Cell, man.
I love Splinter Cell.
No, I enjoyed I played like the original Hitman 2, like Silent Assassin back in the day, as that was called. Like that was the one and only game, but I enjoyed that when I played it.
Hitman, that was Hitman 2, I think, was called Silent Assassin or something.
Yeah, that's the one I played. But cool. Well, that about does it. I will be streaming on twitch.tv/Rental Rush. You guys won't be in time to be able to watch that, but I'll be playing some Resident Evil 8 demo action because it is out now on PlayStation. We'll give impressions next week and talk about the new trailer that just dropped, and probably play a little bit of Sekiro Boss Rush, depending on how long the demo is. That does it for me. Anybody else want to plug anything before we go for real this time?
Nah, man.
No?
Good to go.
All right. Well, give us a like, give us a share, give us a subscribe if you haven't already. Thanks for hanging out with us this week, and we'll see you next time.
Deuces.